The video you are about to watch contains footage of people who, just over 2 months later, would begin being transported in groups to extermination camps, where they would be massacred. Some of these individuals were executed shortly after the recordings. This extremely rare footage was taken in May 1942 by a German photographer in the Warsaw Ghetto, the largest Jewish ghetto in Europe. The Nazis hid these recordings in a forest bunker, and they were only discovered 10 years after the end of the war in East Germany. Parts of this footage have been restored and will be presented here. The Warsaw Ghetto was like a large prison. In an area of just over 3 square kilometers, more than 460,000 Jews were confined. The Germans built a 3-meter-high wall covered with barbed wire to completely isolate the ghetto from the outside world. Inside the ghetto, movement was also strictly controlled, and any Jew attempting to escape was executed. One scene shows a prison within the ghetto. When the photographer, dressed in a German uniform, arrived to film, the imprisoned Jews panicked, believing they were about to be killed. These prisoners had been captured while trying to escape. According to usual German practices, this meant execution. They only calmed down when they realized they were there to be filmed and not executed at that moment. However, their deaths were only a matter of time, as these individuals ultimately became victims of the Nazis. Life in the ghetto was marked by extreme poverty and hunger, which threatened the survival of many Jews. One scene shows the Jewish residential area: crumbling buildings, overcrowding, and piles of garbage. Words that survivors often recall when describing the place. Malnutrition left many Jews so weak that they spent most of their time lying down. The overcrowding was so severe that it was common for more than 10 people to live in a single room. The food shortage in the ghetto was severe. The Nazis restricted the supply of food and medicine, aiming to reduce the Jewish population through starvation and disease. While Germans in Warsaw received more than 260 calories per day, Jews had less than 180, far below the minimum necessary for survival. This led to a thriving black market in the ghetto, with many Jews resorting to smuggling as their only means to avoid starvation. Children were often used to smuggle food, taking advantage of their small bodies to squeeze through gaps in the ghetto wall. The footage shows a group of Jewish children smugglers being captured by the Germans. These children risked their lives several times a day, carrying food that often weighed as much as they did. However, for the Germans, smuggling was punishable by death. The fate of these captured children is unimaginable. In one scene, a child smuggler is taken away by soldiers, while a Jewish mother with no means of sustenance begs for food for her child. In another, Germans order Jewish ghetto police to disperse crowds on the streets to create scenes of chaos for the film. As repeated recordings seemed artificial, the impatient Germans suddenly opened fire, causing real chaos and panic. The footage also shows Adam Chernyakov, the head of the Warsaw Ghetto Jewish Council. 2 months after this filming, when the mass deportation of Jews from the ghetto to extermination camps began, Chernyakov took his own life by ingesting poison.